Today we're going to be talking about the Nashville Numbering system and why it's a really great thing to know, especially as you start to play more music with people. Basically, it's a way to think about notes, and in our case as folk musicians especially, it's a way to think about chords as numbers instead of names. So let's start with the key of A. Now, to start off, one thing to know, and this is a little bit of theory, is that in music we have a 7-letter alphabet. So if we started with the letter A and we counted up to the 7th letter in the alphabet, we would get G, as you see right here. And then you just loop back around to A again. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that's 7. Loop back around to A. Pretty easy, right? Now, on a side note, I want you to notice that by C, F, and G, there's little sharps in parentheses. Technically, in the key of A, C, F, and G are sharps, but that's just going down a rabbit hole. We don't need to know all that theory for the moment. I want you to just think about these numbers. So what if we wanted to play in the key of G? That tends to be a key that a lot of folk music is in, and especially when we start thinking about capoing up the guitar or up your banjo, or really any kind of fretted instrument, the key of G is a really nice one to know. So in the key of G, we're going to start with G. That's going to be our 1, so ignore this 7, that's now 1. And remember, like I said, we only have a 7-letter alphabet, and it starts over once you hit G. So this is where it can get a little tricky. So starting with G, that's the 1, I want you to think about what is 2. And I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in here. And you can see that if we count up, G is 1, A is 2, B is 3, so on and so forth, all the way up to F. Now, you'll notice that I wrote those numbers in Roman numerals, and that's something that you should get used to. That's just part of the Nashville numbering system, so just get used to that. Now I'm going to take it a step further. You should know that in these keys, if we're thinking about chords, typically the 1 chord, you see that's a capital Roman numeral there, that means it's a major chord. But you can see that our 2 and 3 are little. What that signifies, it's a minor chord. So what I really should be playing here is an A minor and a B minor. Now you see the 4 and 5, those are big, so those are major chords. But then you see the 6 here, that's little again, so I actually want to play E minor. Now, F is technically a sharp as well as a half diminished chord, but in folk music, often what you actually see is a regular major chord, and it's a whole step below, so I'm going to go ahead and think of this as an F major chord because I'm catering this to mostly people who are wanting to play more folk type music. Now, let's take a look at one more common key, and that's the key of C. I would say if you can get to know what chords are associated with what numbers in the key of C and the key of G, especially if you're a banjo player, you're going to know everything because we just use our capo and change the position and play out of those chord shapes in these 2 keys. So before I actually show you how to do this, I want you to think about C. And if C is the 1, so it's not the 4 here, it's the 1, I want you to count up to 7 and think about what notes those actually are. So I'm going to scroll down here and see if it's what you were thinking. So we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. That's 7 notes. Again, you see you've got those minor chords with the 2, 3, and the 6 spots. So I know you're probably thinking, okay, I got it, but why? I still want to be able to see the regular chord names when I'm looking at a chord chart, right? So let's take a look at that. Let's see, pull that up. So here's a really common folk tune. It's written by Gillian Welch, Orphan Girl. And if we're looking at this, you can see it's a pretty simple song. It has 3 chords, G, D, and C. So let's suppose you're playing along with the chords and you discover that this is a really terrible key for your voice, or maybe you're in a jam and someone wants to play this song and they say they want to play it in the key of C, but you're looking at your chart and it's the key of G. And you're going to be really confused trying to play along with this other person. So let's take a look at the same chord chart, but the chords are going to be written in the Nashville numbering system with the Roman numerals. So here you can see we've got 1, 5, 1, 4, etc., etc. this opens up a whole new world for you. You can play this in literally any key you want. All you have to know is what the 1, 4, and 5 chords are in that key. So I know what you're thinking. I'm sorry, I'm not going to memorize all the 1, 4, 5 chords in every key. Don't worry about that. You can make a little chart to carry with you, or the reality is most of us are only playing in maybe 3 keys, and we're using our capo to get around that, and that is totally fine. So, for example, if we wanted to play this in the key of G, I'm going to pull that up here. Let's see here. Key of G, right here. Our 1 is G, our 4 is C, and our 5 is D. Great. Let's say, what if somebody wanted to play this in the key of C? All we have to do is count to 5. So let's pull that up. Our 1 is C, our 4 is F, and our 5 is G. So then all you have to do is that, you get to look at this and your brain gets really confused. But if you look at this and you know those 1, 4, 5s, you can move this anywhere. And now you know what it means when someone says, I want to play this in the key of C. It's a 1, 4, 5 tune. You got this. So that's the Nashville numbering system in a nutshell. I hope it helps to make playing and jamming with others a little bit easier.